Good morning, Sanbonani. Guys, I've picked up something very worrying that most people they do not know their rights. They don't know their rights in relation to work. You know, most people don't know which acts, which laws, which legislation govern their labor relations. The labor relations in terms of how do you relate with the employer, what are your rights, what are your duties, what are your responsibilities. Most people they start thinking about these things once they're in trouble. It's either they are charged or they're dismissed, or the employer has done them wrong in one way. That's when they begin to ask, let's say, but nah man, is this correct? Is this lawful? Is it correct for the employer to act against me in this particular way? So it's for this reason that I've thought that maybe I should just do this video. But first, for us to do that, we need to start with the most basic document or the most basic legislation, which is the basic conditions of employment. Because this is the most basic one that deals with how the employer and employees should relate with one another. You know. So I think that as we start with the labor relation, with the basic conditions of employment, we should just start with the regulation of working time. You know, where it states that every employer must regulate the working time of each employee in accordance with the provisions of any act governing occupational health and safety, with due regard to the health and safety of employees. Right? Interpretation of a day. For the purpose of the section 9 to 16, day means a period of 24 hours measured from the time when the employee normally commences work, and daily has corresponding meanings. Then we go to the ordinary hours of work. Subject to this chapter, an employer may not require or permit an employee to work more than 45 hours in any week and 9 hours in any day if the employee works for 5 days or fewer in a week, or 8 hours in any day if the employee works on more than 5 days in a week. An employee's ordinary hours of work in terms of subsection 1 may by agreement be extended, may by agreement be extended by up to 15 minutes in a day, but not more than 60 minutes in a week, to enable an employee whose duties include servicing members of the public to continue performing those duties after the completion of ordinary hours of work. Right. Then Schedule 1 establishes procedures for the progressive reduction of maximum ordinary hours of work to a maximum of 40 ordinary hours of work per week and 8 ordinary hours of work per day. Then gets to overtime. Subject to this chapter, an employer may not require or permit an employee to work overtime except in accordance with an agreement. More than 10 hours overtime a week means an employer may not permit or request an employee to work more than 10 hours overtime a week. An agreement in terms of subsection 1 may not require or permit an employee to work more than 12 hours on any day. An employer must pay an employee at least 1.5 times the employee's wage for overtime worked. Despite subsection 2, an agreement may provide for an employer to pay an employee not less than the employee's ordinary wage for overtime worked and grant the employee at least 30 minutes time off on full pay for every hour of overtime worked, or grant an employee at least 90 minutes paid time off for each hour of overtime worked. An employer must grant paid time off in terms of subsection 3 within 1 month of the employee becoming entitled to it. An agreement in writing may increase the period contemplated by paragraph A to 12 months. An agreement concluded in terms of subsection 1 with an employee when the employee commences employment or during the first 3 months of employment lapses after 1 year. A collective agreement may increase the maximum permitted overtime to 15 hours a week. A collective agreement contemplated in paragraph A may not apply for more than 2 months in any period, 12 months. I think for now, guys, we'll leave it at that. Take time, digest this, read up on this. Then in the next video, maybe in a day or two, we'll continue. Still on the basic conditions of employment, guys, because it's important that you know these things. It doesn't become a nasty surprise for you when you are charged for this, or you find yourself that actually your rights have been infringed because you've not made time to familiarize yourself with these rights. For now, we're dealing with the basic conditions of employment. As time goes on, once we are done with the basic conditions of employment, we'll go to Labor Relations Act, we'll go to Employment Equity Act, Skills Development Act, so on and so on. Thank you very much, guys.